Oh, I gotta stop smoking if I'm gonna do Vincent Price impressions. Hey, the time of year is finally here. Crap, that rhymed. Never mind. It is Halloween time, everybody. My favorite time of the year. I know I went on a lot about how much I love this time of the year last week's episode. Speaking of last week's episode, how good was last week's episode? It made the front page of Screen. That's right, folks. This is finally becoming a thing. So let me just say hi to all of our new listeners, because I saw a lot of you were interested in the Pupcast. And a lot of you were asking about it after it got on the front page. That is great. I'm so glad that, we were able to get people interested in this. And I hope that in the future we can continue to grow. We continue to provide you guys with shows that you enjoy. A lot of you were asking about when we're going to have this on iTunes. We have to find a place that can host these podcasts. And I found a place online that will host it for $5 a week, $20 a month, which is a little bit more than I would wish to pay for it. But, it's not all that bad. Only problem is it only stores up to 400 megabytes of data. Problem is, each of our episodes is 100 megabytes long, so we would only be able to get 3 to at max 4 episodes on iTunes at a time. So let me just know if that's something that you guys would be interested in. If that, if you guys want me to keep looking until I can find an option to get everything up there, like I've said before on previous episodes, I want to see if I can create our own website. I want to look into WordPress. I think I've found a couple of ways to build a site that would be able to host all of our episodes. But yeah, I will let you guys know in the future more about what we decide. But like I said, just let me know in the comments below if you want me to go ahead and just do the 3 episodes at a time option there with that website. But for now, we have got another Halloween episode here. It's a little bit more casual, a little bit more relaxed. It's just, last week we had tons of guests on. This time it's just me, Michelle, and Mike, and we're just kind of, we were going to talk about our favorite monsters from horror films or Halloween movies, but then, we decided, hey, there's only 3 of us here, and there's so much that we wanted to talk about in the last episode that we just forgot and just remembered as soon as the episode was over with. So, really, this is just more of a casual Halloween episode. This is more of just us casually batting back and forth saying, what did we want to talk about last week? I forgot about this. Okay, yeah, I wanted to bring up that. So that's what that really is. Also, for any of you who know me and might be wondering, you guys probably know I live in New York right now, and Sandy, the Frankenstorm, or as I have dubbed it and no one else has, the Halloweenicane. Seriously, that seems like perfect. How is no one else using that? Anyway, the Halloweenicane came by, and yeah, it messed some stuff up. I am one of the few lucky people who still has power right now. I am on the upper north side of Manhattan, in one of the very few spots that it didn't stay dry. Nothing stayed dry. But yeah, we got some trees knocked over. We got some trash cans blown clear across the street. But we still have power. The subways are flooded at the moment, so I'm not going anywhere. But yeah, everything is... But yeah, we are doing just fine. That is until next week when all the rats from the lower flooded areas decide to move up here. But I will update you guys on that next week. In fact, I even went outside and I recorded a little thing for Screen in the middle of the hurricane after it had died down a little bit. I don't know if my camera was able to capture all of it. If it has, then I'll upload. If not, then, hey, sorry about that. But yeah, for now, just enjoy this, the second part of our Halloween episode, and go out and enjoy Halloween. The parade has been canceled here in New York, but where you live, if there's something going on, go out and find it, man. It's a great time of year to go out and just celebrate. Enjoy.
I want to know who you're meeting in the cemetery.
I don't have to tell you anything.
Last week's episode was like a Halloween party. We had all the guests on, great music, tons of activities going on. This week is almost like the cleanup party, the cleanup afterwards of the party. Very relaxed, all just kind of lounging around. Only 3 of us left.
The after party?
The after party, yeah.
The after party.
I'm mildly drunk. But you know what? It's still going to be a good time. Hi there, I'm Aaron. Got Michelle to my left.
Hello.
We've got Mike on Skype.
Hey.
Hey, coming back. So, last week was our big Halloween episode. Fantastic. I think that was one of my favorite episodes that we've done. This week, we're also going to be talking about Halloween. We were going to talk about our favorite movie monsters. But, you know what? I figure there's only 3 of us. We'll just have a little bit more of a relaxed chat about horror films, movie monsters, just anything that we might not have talked about last week. Because I don't know about you guys, but like the moment that we stopped recording, I suddenly just went, God damn it! I did not talk about this. I can't believe that I didn't talk about Twilight Zone. This is gonna sound weird, but the real Ghostbusters cartoon from when I was a kid. That's like the perfect thing when you're a kid to watch. When you're a kid from my generation to watch around Halloween.
It's not really something you watch, but the Goosebumps books.
The Goosebumps books, yeah, excellent.
Did you watch the TV series?
They made not that really into? As much, no. But yeah, I did read the books.
That was the first time that I ever had my little hipster movie moment. With the Goosebumps things, because I read those books so much when I was a kid, and they scared the crap out of me. They really did. There's still things from those books that when I think back to them, I went, "Cripes!" They still kind of give me nightmares. The creepiest one that I ever read was the Cuckoo Clock of Doom. It was about this kid who turns a cuckoo clock's head around, and so each day when he goes to bed, he wakes up and he's now younger. And it's like he's going back in time, and at the end he was just a baby. And I was like, that's gotta be the creepiest thing ever. You have to stop this thing, but nobody can help you because to them they don't understand you, and they think you're just a little kid. That creeped the hell out of me. But I remember watching those when they came on TV, and I was so oh, this is gonna be fantastic. It's gonna be just as good as the books. And then I watched it and went, this is bullshit compared to the books. This is nothing.
Yeah, it's with the books, you leave everything up to your imagination, so that's what makes it, a lot more scary. It's when you see it on TV, it's that's not really what I had in mind. It's not quite as scary as I thought it was gonna be, It's...
That, and it was also the first time I learned about budget, because I was this, They couldn't hire real actors for this. Okay,
Nope. TV budgets.
Yeah, alright, but let's see. I'm just going to start off the way we start every episode off. I'm just going to ask, have you guys seen any movies lately?
I just watched Paranormal Activity 3 last night.
Oh, yeah. You just told me a second ago that finally came on Instant Queue, which I've been waiting for. How is it?
Yes. It was better than the first 2, which I was pleasantly surprised at. I think, going to the prequel, as it were, a true prequel, because 2 was kind of a prequel sequel.
Yeah, that was weird. It happened at the same time and before. Yeah,
right. And I kind of there's some flashbacks, forward flashes. I don't know how you'd call it.
Yeah, it was
the present
synced into it. Yeah,
yeah. But yeah, the majority of it, it takes place in I think it was the late 80s. 88 or something like that. Anyway, no, I think it definitely that worked to its advantage, not having all the high-tech cameras, using the VHS and,
yeah, because I haven't put the review up on the site, but I recorded a review for the found footage anthology VHS. And, they're not all VHS stuff, but I mean, it's that idea of, this is an old tape that someone just found that I always love about the found footage genre. That idea that actually is tapes from the 80s.
Right. Yeah, and so it definitely works. The scares are. It's kind of funny seeing the films have progressed, but it seems like I don't know what the budget. I know the budget was still small, but it seems like they used more effects this time. Not just we're going to pull this person down and drag them across the floor with a wire. I I don't want to give too much away because I know you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But you get more of an idea of what the demon could be, and I think that makes it even a lot scarier, at least in your head.
That's what I liked about the going from 1 to 2 in that franchise, because they explained more about what it was. It wasn't just the same thing. It's like they dove deeper into it. And
right.
It sounds like that's what they're doing in 3.
Oh yeah, they definitely go. I shouldn't say a lot more. I mean, you definitely get the glimpse of into the backstory of with all the the women on Katie and Christy's side of the family. But yeah, and I also kind of appreciate it because none of the footage in the trailers actually made it into the final film. So
I love when they do stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it definitely because I thought, I'm gonna go. I know this is gonna happen or that, and none of that happened. And while there was some freaky stuff that happened in the trailer, I think the end product of how they went about it was much more effective. I haven't heard great things about 4, so we'll have to wait and see.
The thing with 4 is that there is no more delving into it. You don't learn anything else. So it seems so much just like a cash grab almost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the fact that Xbox is putting out there is giving them a couple $1 million so they can shove Kinect into that.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
Okay, yes.
But yeah, no, it's definitely an improvement on the franchise.
The team wants to play Fruit Ninja. No.
Everybody wants to play Fruit Ninja. But yeah, no, I was pleasantly surprised. I kind of expected it to take like a Saw effect, and the first one's pretty decent original, and then it just kind of second one's okay, and third one just kind of shit. But I feel like it actually has gotten better in quality. So, and I know. I forget who the directors were, but I know they, I think their previous movie was some indie film that had gotten some decent, buzz too. So, and I think you have people who know what they're doing for directing, and the writers seem to actually care about the mythology. And I think that's really the bottom line. Is I think audiences, at least I, care more about the mythology, the backstory of the the demon and why has this all come about, the origins, and that's why I like that they went into that a lot more with this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely watch that one tonight now that I know it's on Instant Queue. Let's see. I've seen Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, the Guillermo del Toro film about tooth fairies.
Okay.
Yeah, you know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, with Katie Holmes.
With Katie Holmes, yeah. Do you happen to see that?
I did not see it, no.
Damn, because I'm hoping someone can explain to me what the fuck happened at the ending there. But
no, yeah, sorry.
But aside from that, yeah, it's not that good. It's not bad. It's one of those horror films that, any kid who loves horror, there comes a point in which they finally watch their first, official horror film. And this is a great one for kids to, get into. Because, yeah, it's Guillermo del Toro he either loves kids or hates them. Because he always makes them, the protagonists of his films, but then has terrible shit happen to them.
Right.
So yeah, but that does help little kids get into horror when they have something they can relate to. I've always said the best one for little kids to get into horror is The Gate. For anybody who's seen that, it's also on Netflix Instant Queue. Also about little tiny demon monkey things. But that one is creepy as hell, and it plays on so many fears that children have. Whereas this one, sometimes the little tooth fairy monsters are freaky. It's oh man, there's a whole bunch of them coming at you with knives. Yeah, that's scary. Then there's other times in which it's I hid your keys. It's you're just being a dick, demon monkey. Yeah, it's not. So yeah, it's not that great, but I do kind of want someone else to watch it just so that I can go, yeah, what the fuck was that at the very end? I don't know. But, what else have I seen? I've seen, we watched Silent House.
Silent?
Yeah, Silent House. That was the one that came out earlier this year. It was the one starring the talented Olsen sister, not the twins.
Right.
And it's that one that was supposed to be shot all in one shot.
Oh, I heard about. Okay, I have not seen it, but I know what you're talking about now.
It's good, but it's all. But first off, it's not all one shot. They cheat a couple times, but it's they cheat a few times, but they're 10-minute long shots each. So even if it's not all one shot, that's still impressive as hell that they did that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, it's but yeah, you know, once you've like caught a couple of the cheats, like 3 or 4 of the different cheats, you start going, the magic's not kind of wearing off on me. But I mean, it's still impressive to watch like something do something that impressive.
Right.
But it does have one of my least favorite endings of any film I've seen this year. It is like I would have given the movie a B, but after a good solid B, but yeah, after that ending, the best I can give it is a C plus because man, it tanks there at the end.
It's like a cop out.
It's kind of a cop out, but it's like I was watching it going, okay, I think I figured out what this is. And yeah, you're actually, you know, the more I think about it, you're absolutely right. It was a cop out. But yeah, that could have been more of a cop out unless Bruce Willis and Tracy Morgan were the killers. That was a terrible joke. Pause for edits. But no editing on this. All white crap stays in. All right, but
no editing. It's all one shot.
It's all one shot. Yes. But yeah, it's a movie where. Yeah, at the end of it, like, I had thought, okay, I think I figured out what's going on here, and it's kind of crappy what's going on here. Then it turns out it's kind of what I thought, but worse. And yeah, so it's really sad that that's what they did with the ending. But up until then, it's really good. It creates tension so well. Mm-hmm. It really makes you, like, hold your breath when it looks like she's about to get caught in this house. But then there's also the thing they have to realize, which is that, you know, she's trapped in this house and trying to get out, and it's all one take, so it's all, like, happening in real time, and it makes you realize, oh yeah, if I had to stick with this one character and there were no takes and they were trying to get out of the house, there would be a ton of moments where it would be, run to this door, sit there and wait, sit there and wait. Alright, now run over to this door. Alright, now sit there and wait. Oh god, there's something there. Wait. Okay, it's gone. It's like, so, I mean, yeah, each time that happens, it's suspenseful, but it happens so many times, it kind of started to wear thin on me, but, yeah, still, I would have given it a B if it had not been for that ending just coming in and stealing that away. Yeah, anything else we saw? Oh, God, we saw Devil Inside. Just remember that. Yeah, it came out in January, and, you know what, I might have been more lenient on this film until I found out that it had a budget of $1 million, which, first off, where did that go? There's some guy walking around Hollywood with $950,000 in his pocket right now.
Nice.
But then it made $100 million, and that's the point at which I just went, God damn it, people! I will never get you. I will never get you, film audiences. But yeah, it's another devil possession film. It's all found footage. Oh God, but it just makes no sense. I'm going to spoil a part of it right now because there's no reason you should do this, but I didn't realize it until later, but there's a moment where the devil jumps out of this person, goes into a priest, and the priest doesn't realize it. The priest is just acting weird, and the priest goes in to perform a baptism, and he starts drowning the baby in the holy water. Except that it's like everybody like just stood there and waited for like 5 seconds, like, I'm sure the baby's fine, before they decided to tackle the priest.
Yeah, this is perfectly normal. Perfectly normal baptism.
Right. I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to put the whole head underwater.
I'm not sure you're supposed to put the entire baby underwater.
I'm Episcopalian. I've never been to a Catholic church. Is this what happens? I don't want to interfere. Yeah. I don't want to seem like I'm just not understanding their religion.
As a Catholic, I can assure you that does not happen.
Right, yeah, that definitely does not.
But no, it wasn't until after I'd watched it that suddenly I realized, wait a minute! The priest, even though the demon is in the priest goes into the church with the demon, touches the Bible, says holy verses, sticks his hands in holy water, and nothing happens. The film is disobeying its own rules for this whole segment. That's how lazy this film is. In fact, you pointed out to me something that I had to rewind to see, is that there's a moment in which there's blood splattered across a room, and there's a blood stain gets put on the lens cap, on the camera lens, and then it's just gone. And I don't mean it cuts to something else. I don't mean it cuts to another angle and then cuts back. I mean, blood splatter gets on the camera, it's filming, still all one shot, bloodstain gone, still one shot.
And, like, here's the thing, it's like, the camera, like the person with the camera, like runs into the room after they hear screaming, and they zoom in on on like a dead person covered in blood, and that is how the blood stain got on. It's like,
I didn't even think about that till
yeah,
right
it's
now.
like there was no blood splatter. They just showed someone covered in blood and just magically happened to appear on the lens. It's like, and then it magically disappeared.
And the more I think about that, the more it just shows how lazy this movie is. Because, do you know how lazy you have to be to in Final Cut Pro? Not in Final Cut Pro. You know how you get blood splatter on the lens cap? You take a little bit of clear, fake blood splatter stain thing, put the effect over the segment you want, and that's it. These people were so lazy, they started extending the blood stain across and just went, "Oh, my hand's too tired to get to the end of this shot."
Maybe that was the final bit of the budget.
That was it.
They're like, damn it, we can't. No one's gonna notice.
Yeah, it's just like, all right, we only have enough to pay this editor for one more day. Quitting time. Sure, you can't drag it a little bit more. Nope, you gotta hit the batch capture yourself if you want that thing edited onto the DVD. We're not union, we can't do that. Yeah, but fuck that movie. That at the end of the year, we were going to do our best of and worst of 2012 list. That may be number one. It is going to be close for something. It is going to be hard for something to beat that right now.
So there's also like another scene where like the devil somehow possessed two people at the same time.
Oh, you're right. I forgot that shit.
It's like
the devil splits off. I forgot that.
It's a Horcrux.
Yes.
What?
Harry Potter joke.
Yeah.
No, I
This is the greatest Harry Potter prequel I've ever seen.
Wait, so the devil is...
Yes, possessing two folks at the same time. Oh my god, fuck that movie. And it doesn't even have an ending. It just ends by saying, to find out what happens after this, go to this website. No, motherfucker, I paid for a movie ticket. I'm sitting in the theater. My phone does not connect to the internet. You show me the ending of this movie.
Wow.
And just let people know, no, I did not go and check out what the final scene is. Fuck that. I am refusing to do that.
I think I'm going to go after this is over and watch it myself.
Just to see how bad it really is. Just to see if all this is
wow,
true.
It is
if there's any context to it whatsoever, because...
yeah, oh man. But yeah, so that's what we've all seen. Let's get into the news right now. Kevin is not here, so I had to, at the last minute, scrounge around for some news, which makes me realize how hard his job is, because, yeah, fuck, there was no news. All the news this week was, well, Mark Wahlberg is not going to be in Transformers. That was in discussion at some point. What? Mary Elizabeth Winstead is not going to be in Captain America 2. I didn't know that was so your news is no news. Alright, but yeah, so there's two pieces of news that I did find interesting. One is that David Fincher wants Brad Pitt for a 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea movie. Brad Pitt, I don't know, but David Fincher doing 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, I would pay to see that.
I'm just really skeptical about remakes.
Well, it's one of those, it's like, is it a remake or is it based on the book? Because it's like, if it's based on the book, then I don't have a problem. But yeah, if they're trying to recapture the classic 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, then I don't know, but...
Alright, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Another thing, Brad Pitt, sure, he's a good-looking guy, but he's a good-looking guy who can act.
Yes.
Yeah, he's got talent.
Captain Nemo.
Oh, yeah, who's he going to be? I have no idea who he wants him to be, but I can't imagine being Captain Nemo, because David Fincher seems to me like a guy...
Can you just, click on
the... Oh, yeah, let me check that. But yeah, David Fincher is a guy who seems to me like he would want to be as true to the book as possible, and Captain Nemo, not a white guy, so I don't know who he would be, but let's see, he would play Ned, which was originally played by Kirk Douglas in the original film. So, all right, interesting. But yeah, the other piece of news, there's a James Brown biopic in the works, which I like James Brown, so. But yeah, Tate Taylor wants to, who did, let's see, okay, so Tate Taylor, who directed The Help, wants to direct the James Brown biopic. And
okay.
Yeah, The Help took me by surprise. I was expecting to just be meh on that film, but I ended up really enjoying it. Aside from the fact that Taylor, maybe not him, but the writer of this film certainly had an obsession with poop. There is so much poop talk in that movie, and I don't think there was a whole lot of poop involved in James Brown's life, but yeah.
Unless you're just sitting on her like, ow!
James Brown toilet party.
Oh.
Saturday Night Live joke, kids. Look that up. Let's see.
So did they say who's going to play James
No,
Brown?
there's no
or
talk
potentially?
of that yet. It's only in the they're just buying the rights to it now.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so I'm very interested in it. But the other piece of news is that the last piece of news is that the Justice League movie, despite the fact that I keep yelling, "Don't do it," it now has a date for 2015, which means that we'll be going into direct competition with Avengers 2.
Oh my.
Yeah. Oh, that could.
Well,
yeah, that's the thing, is that there's going to be, that creates a problem then there of itself. First off, Avengers 2, I can't imagine that film. It's got the exact same cast behind it, and the exact same crew. It's got Josh Whedon coming back. And you know me, Avengers, I love the hell out of that movie so much. I cannot imagine them making a bad movie. They could make an okay one. We saw that with Iron Man 2, where it was like, oh, great first one, second one, just okay. So yeah, I can't imagine them making a bad one, but I get a feeling like, yeah, it's probably going to be pretty darn good. But the DC movies that have been coming out, I know everybody's going to say, well, what about Dark Knight? They just cut Christopher Nolan loose and let him do his own thing. They had no control over that. All their other films, they've had to have control over. They've tried to have control over, and they've been miserable failures. Superman coming out next year, that's going to be the one that really decides it. If they can't make that work, then they're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So that means that we have two options right now. One is that the Avengers will be great, Avengers 2 will be great, and then Justice League will be just as bad as Green Lantern, and everyone will turn to DC and to Warner Brothers and go, how fucking dare you try and get on this Avengers money? How dare your lazy ass just try and sneak in here with your own Avengers? Or what will happen is that we'll have two great comic book superhero teams come out that year, but the fact that we'll have two great superhero team books come out that year, I get the feeling like it'll take away from both of them. This seems to me like a situation where there will be no winners.
Well, I mean, you had the Avengers came out very beginning of the summer release in May, and then you had Dark Knight Rises come out in mid-late July.
Right.
I think if they were doing something similar to that, I just don't see why both can't still come out.
But Dark Knight Rises, that was still one guy. It's the fact that they're both team books.
Yeah.
Team movies. That it seems to me like if they both work, it'll kind of be like, I see that as an event where it'll be like, wow, we had two big superhero team movies come out this year. Now every summer we're going to be like, now it seems to me like that might be the stage where the industries might go, well, they love the team movies, so let's forget Spider-Man, let's forget the individual movies, let's only do the team movies, which I think might kind of it seems to me like this 2015 will decide the future of comic book movies, because if they're both successful, it will change the landscape. I don't see a lot of individual books coming out, individual movies coming out after that. However, if Marvel totally knocks it out of the park again like they did this year, and DC turns Justice League into another Green Lantern, then I think that will be the moment in which Warner Brothers might just look at DC and go, we're cutting ties with you. We don't need you. We're done.
Right.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting,
Yeah.
By the way, to whoever is making that movie, I say this every time we talk about the Justice League movie, the Grant Morrison run on Justice League. Just read it. Just the first 5 issues. Just read it. That's the movie. I was at Comic-Con, and I was just flipping through a bin, and I found the trade of that run, and I just started looking through it, and it just once again made me go, they're not going to do this, are they? It's right here. Right here on this sheet. This is what the movie's supposed to be.
Here's your script.
Right.
The script is there.
His storyboard and everything.
Yes. Although, the thing about Grant Morrison is that the guy, when he was younger, was hopped up on all kinds of drugs, including, like, peyote when he was writing comics. And now he's a huge drunk when he writes books. So, he has developed a history of writing books and having them be amazing at the beginning, and then just kind of falling and crumbling into drunken craziness. So I have this weird feeling like the guys at Warner Brothers are going to go, everybody's saying we should pick up this Grant Morrison thing. Yeah, let's base the movie off that. And then they do, like, the weird ending of his arc, which was just him being a drunk. And I'll just go in there and it'll be like Superman just, like, wobbling around like, hey, someone spiked my beer with red kryptonite. Batman just wondering it. My parents are dead. I'm going to go and create a third Robin now. Pick up the first 5 issues. That's it. That's the movie. Just do it. Yeah, what are you going to say, Mike?
So, because they're still doing a Green Lantern 2, from what I heard, right?
I have no idea. That thing is... They came out... 2 years ago when the movie came out, they came out and they said, okay, no, it was just last year, wasn't it? Fuck.
Yeah, it was last year.
They came out and they said, okay, well, we are making Green Lantern 2, and it's going to be darker. It's going to be darker, and no one really stepped up and went, that wasn't the problem.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, if you decide to cut out the Hot Wheels commercial in the middle of that, fine. But, there's nothing wrong with making the Green Lantern movie a little bit more aimed at adults, but let me put it to you this way. In Avengers... nobody's favorite moment in that movie is when Coulson dies. If you ask anybody their favorite moment, it's going to be, oh man, seeing all the heroes come together and just kicking ass. And, Avengers was incredibly uplifting. Right. And I think that's why people went back to see it so many times. Yeah, make a Green Lantern movie. And I'm not saying don't make it serious. I want to see, Sinestro turn evil and go nuts. But for actual reasons, not just because at the end of the movie he decides to put the ring on for no fucking reason. God, fuck! Green Lantern is like one of my main comics that I read. I love the hell out of the Green Lantern comics. And, fuck them for that movie. But anyway, sorry. God, it's still just in my mouth every time I can taste that movie every time I start talking about it.
So I'm kind of wondering if they're going to get Ryan Reynolds to, play Hal Jordan, and I guess Henry Cavill is playing Superman.
Yeah.
And so I know they keep talking about doing a Wonder Woman movie. Is that going to happen before this? Because I kind of thinking...
there have been so many problems with the Wonder Woman. Like, because it was almost a TV show on ABC, right, which was going to be Ally McBeal, because they decided instead of her, they wanted to make her a lawyer, which... makes me think they read the She-Hulk comics by accident when they were doing their research. I don't know. But yeah, there have been so many problems. And that's a weird thing about the DC movies, is that when Marvel comes out and says, hey man, Guardians of the Galaxy 2013, Guardians of the Galaxy 2013. It is that, well, actually it's 2014, my bad. But yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy 2014. Iron Man 3 coming out next year. Iron Man 3 is coming out next year. DC, it's, hey man, we're making a Wonder Woman movie, a Flash movie, Green Lantern 2. It's like, okay, when's that happening? It's happening.
Eventually.
We have a concept art pick here. That's some napkin.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a Justice League movie could work. I kind of do.
Also, I mean, don't get me wrong, it could totally work. Just not how they're doing it.
Yeah.
And also, Avengers, I've said this many times before, but Avengers, you had to introduce each of those characters. You had to introduce people to Captain America, to Thor, to Iron Man. But when it comes to the Justice League movie, you just need to hit the ground running on that one. We know Superman. We know Batman. We know Wonder Woman. We know Flash. The only character nobody knew was Green Lantern, and now, sadly, they do know him.
The animated series was good.
The animated series was good, yeah. That's the thing, is that I was working at the movie theater when the Green Lantern film came out, and I swear to you, there actually were kids coming out of the Green Lantern movie going, "Why isn't Green Lantern black? Like, they were actually wondering that.
Aww.
And I was like, good question. It's like, yeah, I would be cool with Jon Stewart being the Green Lantern. There's been 4 Green Lanterns. No, there's now 5. And none of them have been women. Good job, DC.
You should be thankful that one of them is black.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah, they just created a new Green Lantern who is Simon Baz, I think his name is, and he is Arab American. And they said, well, he's going to be... And, like, I was reading an interview in which they said, you know what, we're going to make a character that defies the Arab stereotypes. And I picked up the first issue of him, and on the first issue, he has the Green Lantern suit on, but he's still holding a normal gun and pointing at the picture. And he's a car robber who is suspected of being a terrorist. I was like, I'm not seeing... And, like, the guy who's writing it, Jeff Jones, who is the guy who made Green Lantern cool... He came out and he said, listen, I'm part Arabic, so I know how to write a character like this. I've met Jeff Jones. That's the whitest motherfucker I was going to say. But yeah, so, I don't know. Which, you know what, maybe they'll put Simon Baz in there. They're trying to make him the new main Green Lantern, which is good on them. But yeah, that's the great thing about Green Lantern. Hal Jordan failed. You still got 4 others now you can go to.
Right.
Maybe not Kyle Rayner, because the only person who could play Kyle Rayner is Ryan Reynolds. So, anyway.
Oops.
Aaron's Comic Book Corner. Okay. Anyway, this is not a comic book podcast. Yeah. So that was all I had for the news.
We could make a new segment.
Yes.
Maybe.
That's the thing. There's a bit of comic book news that comes up every single week. I almost wanted to talk about the fact that Crossbones is now going to be in the new Captain America 2, but I was like, nobody else on this panel is going to know who that is. So... forget it. Although we could talk about, who played the Red Skull? Yeah, never mind. Yeah.
No,
because I know that
Agent
this week he
Smith,
also went on a massive rant about how I don't want to be in Captain America 2. I think those films are stupid. I view it as, an insult to what I've done. I don't want any part of it anymore. And all I could keep thinking was, dude, nobody even asked you to be in the sequel. You just came out and like preemptively said, you know what, I don't want to be in it. I was like, okay, that's cool. Because I'm not a fan of those movies. Alright, they're not for everybody. In fact, I find them stupid. Okay. In fact, you know what, it was kind of disgraceful having to do that, and it's like, dude, nobody's talking to you! Like, it was one of those where he just would not
shut the fuck up.
It's one of those where he would just not shut up once he started the rant, and I was like, okay, now you're just becoming an ass. But yeah, let's go into trailer talk, because we actually have 2 trailers to talk about this time. They both came out, like, one right after the other. First off, we're going to start off with Iron Man 3, and both these films had teasers for the actual trailer come out, which is just stupid. I mean, if you want to put out a press release that says, hey, look out for this day, because that's when we're putting out the trailer, fine, but, I don't know. It reminds me of when, like, the new Star Wars films were coming out, and they would say, okay, tune in to Fox at this time during this show, and we'll show a little trailer for it. Not a fan, but... But yeah, what do you guys think of Iron Man 3?
Better than 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or at least I'm hoping it's not like all a bunch of hype, and it just turns out to be mediocre.
Yeah, I'm going so back and forth on it, because first off, yeah, it looks so much more serious than the last one. Which the last one was so much just improv. I mean, literally improv, because they started filming when they had no script, because they wanted to get done in time for Avengers. Whereas with this one, they have a lot more freedom. And it's Shane Black, who did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which I love so much. That movie's so good. Also wrote Lethal Weapon, so...
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it, and yeah, this is taking such a more serious turn from the looks of it.
I just hope it's not, like, too serious or anything.
Yeah, we need Robert Downey Jr. being Iron Man.
Exactly, so...
We need him to call Thor Point Blank. We need something like that. But, yeah, and the armor, I'll just say this. I really disliked the new armor when I first saw it. But actually seeing it in action, it looks better to me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, I'm the comic book junkie here, so I know that Ben Kingsley is playing the Mandarin. And the Mandarin in comics, when he first began back in the 60s, he was just a huge Asian stereotype. I'm not saying the comic books aren't racist, but back then, wow, were they racist. But in a way, I kind of but in a way, I was about to say I liked it, but no, I don't want to say I like. I'm not about to say I like comic book racism. No, but I always like the pairing of the Mandarin and Iron Man, because the Mandarin has 10 rings that are magic that give him power. So it was always this kind of like Western technology versus Eastern magic. And in recent comics, they've tried to downplay the magic. They've tried to make it more of like, oh, these rings are actually just really high-tech technology that look like magic. And, he's gone from being like this, shaman and this, this mystical wizard from the East to being more of like just one part terrorist, one part businessman. So I figured that's what they were going to do in this movie. But the moment you see Ben Kingsley in there, it's like, no, that is old school Mandarin they have on there. That is wizardy. He looks like he's from Harry Potter for a moment there.
Yeah.
And I really do not like the fact that they have the Iron Patriot in here, because the Iron Patriot is a terrible character. But you know what? If anybody can make him work, it's Shane Black. So.
Okay.
But yeah.
I'm just glad Jon Favreau's not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
Honestly, especially with 2, with that whole thing where he's like, I'm going to put myself in there. I'm going to fight with Black Widow. Ugh. I wanted to punch him in his...
Yeah, Jon Favreau, I really like Made. Thought Swingers was okay. And then aside from that, I haven't really been a fan of anything else he's done. So when he did such a great job on the first Iron Man, I was like, oh, I have misjudged him. I have totally misjudged him. And then he spent the last couple of years kind of proving, no, I haven't misjudged him. He just really got lucky on that one. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Plus, Shane Black has worked with Robert Downey Jr. on Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, so I know he can direct him. Okay. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I like the idea of, I can't tell if someone is going to steal the armor or if it comes to life, because that was also a storyline in which the armor just came to life, and which it was actually a pretty good storyline. So I'm hoping that's kind of what it is.
Right, the Extremist.
Yeah, it's two things. One, the Extremist is where the armor evolved and went from just being armor to something that Tony could summon, and yeah, you actually see that in here, in which he brings it to himself. But then there was another one in which a virus took over the machine and just the suit ran rampant with Tony trapped inside. So I'm thinking they're trying to do a combination of the two. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Next up, the Evil Dead remake,
or Cabin in the Woods remake.
Yeah, why would they release a trailer for the deleted scenes from Cabin in the Woods? I don't understand.
They did that?
No, I'm saying that's what.
I'm like, oh god.
It's actually a prequel to Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, why are we not watching that? Show me that clip. Oh man, how pissed must Sam Raimi be at Josh Whedon? It's I can just picture them meeting at a party. It's like, dude, what the fuck? You knew we were trying to do a remake, but you just steal the mic and then drop it right in front of us. You just had to do it.
Yeah.
Which, you know me, I'm a huge fan of Evil Dead. I've talked about that numerous times on the podcast. This film, I'm 50-50 on, because it's they're keeping a lot of stuff from the original, but changing a lot, and to me it's one of those things where you need to change all of it. You need to have it be, kids go up to a cabin in the woods, find the Necronomicon, summon this evil, that's it. But then it seems like they're bringing so much back from it. They've changed who the characters are. There's some hippie nerd guy there who deciphers it, but then at the same time there's another guy there who so clearly is supposed to be Ash. It's so clear that they're trying to do that, but judging from the trailer, it looks like it's going to be less of Ash and more of a group dynamic, which I like.
Well, it looked like, near the end, it looked like that girl appeared to be sawing her arm off at the elbow, so I was kind of wondering, is that going to be Ash? Is Ash now a girl?
Yeah, which we have, first off,
so Ash is now an Ashley.
Ashley, that was actually his name.
It was Ashley.
Yeah. It's written by Diablo Cody, who writes female characters very well. So if she decided to, I'm 50-50. Diablo Cody kind of makes me nervous, because I like Juno, really like Juno.
Yeah.
I'm one of the few people out there who loved Young Adult. I think that film has got a lot of layers to it and has a lot going for it. But her middle film between those two was Jessica's Body, her own attempt at a horror film. And I've never seen it, but people do not speak highly of that.
No. I've heard that too.
So Diablo Cody makes me 50-50 on this because, she could either knock this out of the park or really screw it up. But, you're right. If they decide to make the protagonist and the hero of this female, Diablo Cody is someone I would trust with that, because I think that she writes female characters very well. But that's kind of my point, is that it looks like they're keeping too much in this. Like, they do have her sawing her arm off. They have the trees in there, which I was not expecting them to bring that back. The evil rape trees are in this movie.
Rape tree. I wonder how that's going to get by the MPAA.
Wow. Well, that's the thing, is that I think that they actually could make this an NC-17 film and just be like, fuck you, it's the Evil Dead. We're going to have an audience no matter what. Give this a triple X rating. We don't care. Audiences will come.
Will they? I mean, maybe. But I mean, look at, what was it? Shame? Was that the one with Fassbender?
Oh, yeah.
That got the NC-17, and that did. I mean, I think it did okay.
It actually did fairly decent business, yeah.
Did it? Okay. I mean, it didn't play anywhere near where I live, so unfortunately I never got to see it.
It had a limited release, but it didn't have a really high budget either. But for a limited release film, it did very well. Yeah,
okay.
It did,
and this... right.
Yeah, it did better
and
than...
This looks like it's...
Yeah, but I don't know what they'll plan on doing, but with the rape trees, but... Yeah, what do you guys think of just the look and the feel of it?
Definitely looks intense.
It does. It looks kind of like, what a lot of horror films have tried to do, which is be grungy, which I'm not really a fan of. Like, when I see, like, the grunginess on the characters, I'm like, I want to see more of just, like, in the original Evil Dead, they had, like, flesh rot and turning, like, a weird different color. Mm-hmm. And this, they just look dirty. Like, they just went crazy, got weird eye contacts in, and rolled around in mud and started stabbing people.
Yeah.
Which I'm not a big fan of. However, when it comes to the world around them, when it comes to the woods, which that, to me, that's the star of the Evil Dead movies. The woods is the antagonist. You gotta make them feel like something. The woods really feel creepy to me from this trailer. I mean, that shot of him looking out at the river, that really kind of freaked me out. I thought that was done excellently.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's so much that I'm going back and forth on this one.
Yeah, I didn't know that Diablo Cody was writing this, so now I'm kind of in a little more favor of this movie now, actually.
I know she has so many haters, so I was worried that you were going to say, so now that I know that, fuck this movie. Yeah.
No, I mean, I really like Juno, too, and I haven't seen, I didn't see Young Adult, and I haven't seen Jennifer's Body, but yeah, this looks good. There's a couple scenes where the one girl with the contacts, it just kind of reminded me of, like, this is what a possessed Reagan would look like if she was a teenager.
Ooh,
or young adult.
Yeah, which, I mean, that to me was the thing that I really liked about Evil Dead, is that, it wasn't like just Ghost or something. It was almost like The Exorcist, except it wasn't happening to one little girl. It was all around you, and it just kept happening to everybody.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't. What do you feel about the gore in this? Because we have the girl sawing her cheek off, and then we have the girl licking the knife. I'm not really what.
No, it's just go ahead and continue. It's like,
I'm not really a fan of that kind of horror. Like, I know that in the original, there's the girl stabs the other girl in the foot with the pencil. But to me, like, the really creepy stuff in that movie is, it's like, the makeup making them look distorted and looking like flesh is just kind of, like, rotting off of them. And it's like, they had bugs crawling on them, or, like, they had, like, just a monster hand pop out of their stomach. Which, granted, that could still happen in this, too. You don't want to show that in this movie. You want people to be shocked at that. So, you don't want to show that in a trailer. But, it's not really giving me, like, it makes it look like it's trying to be too, like, I've always said this about horror films, that horror films are like jazz. It's the notes you don't play that make it work. It's, so, it seems like they're just trying to be too gory with it.
Yeah, that's what I
Whereas,
was gonna
yeah,
say. So
you shouldn't be gory. You should be weird. Is what you should be for an Evil Dead film, to me.
yeah, go watch
Yeah.
Japanese horror films. They know how to do freaky. So
Yeah, I mean, like take
But they also they're a fair amount of gore
Yeah,
too.
they
that's
are,
right.
but like if you take like the film Audition, which that was just a torture porn film. Is what that was. It was a girl torturing a guy throughout the entire movie. However, the creepiest moment of that entire movie is the girl just sitting there looking at the phone all that time, and then all of a sudden, after days of sitting there, this bag behind her just moves. That's the kind of stuff that, you need to, that's the kind of horror I want to see from an Evil Dead film is, you can put some gore in there, but make it weird, man. You gotta get creative with this. But, I mean, they very well could. We just haven't seen it yet, so...
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
I kind of
like
go back and
sometimes
forth.
trailers can be misleading. Like they only show the parts that they think are going to be good, and then like in they like misjudge like what their audience thinks is good or not. So
But I will say it looks much better than most horror films look
Yeah.
to me. And it looks like it could still be good. Mm-hmm. And I will say this is that Evil Dead with Ash in there became such its own thing that this film, if you make an Evil Dead film without Ash, I think it could still stand as its own completely separate thing, just as long as you don't spend too much of the movie trying to go, hey, remember this from the other Evil Dead movie? Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm going to be there in line for it no matter what, but yeah. So we're going to take a little break here, and then after our little musical interlude, we're just going to finish up our little Halloween festivities here. All right, be right back.
We're all jammed in the car, and we're going really far. Driving deep into the trees, with hot dogs, chips, and cheese. To make the week go quicker, we packed a ton of liquor. Ryan Tropicana will go totally bananas. Spring break vacation is just plain, plain. There's something in this musty air makes us want to sing. Cabin in the woods, ooh. Cabin in the woods, yeah. We're 5 college students on our way to an old abandoned cabin in the woods. Oh yeah!
All my friends are here for the best spring break of the year. Away from school and from S-Mart, a week way off the charts.
A holiday with Ash, all that I'd ever ask. He's so cute and thin, and that's why I love him.
Oh, I have now finished off all the pumpkin bread and all the candy corn, so it's time that we wrap up our festivities here by just finishing off our little Halloween discussion. Last week we talked about our favorite horror films, and this week we were going to talk about our favorite monsters from horror films. But you know what? We'll get to that, but I also say, it's just us. Why don't we just have a little bit more of a casual discussion about some of our favorite horror films? Is there anything that you guys wanted to talk about on the last episode that you didn't bring up?
I don't
Trying to.
I don't really watch too many horror movies, so I can't really.
Yeah.
Say.
Well, is there any supernatural thing? Let's not just because last week it was just horror films. Is there anything supernatural or that you enjoy watching? Actually, there's a cartoon out that you and I both really enjoy. That to me is kind of like a perfect thing to watch. To if you have a little kid, it's a perfect thing to marathon for Halloween. Gravity Falls.
Yeah, you ever watch that?
No, I haven't heard of it.
It's on the Disney Channel. Yes, there's actually a good cartoon on the Disney Channel.
Yeah, I hate telling people what channel it's on because it's like, don't judge me. I know everything on that channel is shit. Except this is actually good. It's it's about 2 kids who go to live with their uncle in
They're
Gravity.
great uncles, so they call him Grunkle Stan.
Grunkle Stan, yeah. Who is just a shyster, just a scam artist, flat out. Go to live with him for the summer. And basically, it's kind of like the town is like a cross between the Twilight Zone and Twin Peaks and all these other supernatural things because there's tons of weird secrets to the town, and all of them have some kind of a supernatural nature to them. But there's lots of like little references to other like Twilight Zone episodes or little other horror stories. And they did a Halloween episode recently, which it didn't have the Slender Man in it, but it had like as close as you could get to having the Slender Man in a children's cartoon on there. It was a great Halloween episode. So yeah, it's one of those in which if you're a grown up who enjoys cartoons or just has kids, Gravity Falls is great for that. Speaking of cartoons, when I was a kid, I flat out loved The Real Ghostbusters.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was a cartoon that, going back now and watching it, now that I'm an adult, I am shocked at how much stuff they put in there. They had Cthulhu in an episode of The Real Ghostbusters.
Did they?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, God. I need to go back and watch this thing, because I don't remember any of
yeah,
that.
yeah, I didn't know any of this stuff. Like, they had Citizen Kane, the ghost of Citizen Kane in an episode, and they had to, like, find his sled. It's, like, so much stuff that kids would not understand. But, yeah, there was an episode in which basically, like, a cult that worshipped H.P. Lovecraft basically said that, basically we're gathering at Coney Island to summon Cthulhu. And, yeah, they summoned Cthulhu. And the Ghostbusters had to fight him off.
Wow. Did you ever watch the Extreme Ghostbusters?
I watched it, and I liked the idea behind it. The idea that Egon is now old, all the other Ghostbusters have left, and he has to form a new team. That's what they should do with Ghostbusters 3. If they want to make Ghostbusters 3, that's what the movie should be. But it was one of those movies where they were so clearly trying to...
You mean cartoon?
Sorry, it was one of those cartoons. What did I say?
Movie.
Oh, sorry. But it was a I almost said movie again. It was a cartoon that very clearly was created through focus groups and like market research because they were trying to like hit every base. Mm-hmm. Like they had on the team once again there were 4 members. There was a girl, there was a Hispanic guy, there was a black guy, and there was a guy in a wheelchair. And it is totally fine to have each of those members as the Ghostbusters. Problem is, the girl's role on the team, she was the girl. The Hispanic guy's role on the team, he was the Hispanic guy. The black guy's role on the team, he was the black guy. The wheelchair guy's role on the team, he was the guy in the wheelchair. There was no personality to any of them. They were literally there just so that they could go, look at how diverse our team is. It's like, dude, I'm all for diversity, but you gotta build the character first.
Exactly.
And then,
right.
Yeah. It's like, literally, like, at least, like, the girl, the Hispanic guy, and the guy in the wheelchair, like, if you had to ask me what was their personalities, I could go, I kind of remember them being like this. I went back and watched recent episodes of it to refresh myself. The black guy in that show has no personality to him at all. It's like, it's almost on a level offensive just how much of a non-character he is on that show. Like, there is nothing to that character at all. They put no thought into him. And so, I mean, that is, like, kind of what makes me go, they really just were trying to, like, appeal to, like, just trying to be diverse just to be diverse. It's like, no, man, you gotta be diverse because that's the world we live in. You gotta make characters and then realize, hey, we live in a diverse world, so let's make it a diverse cast. Instead, they went, let's make a diverse cast so a lot of people will watch it. And that was it. So, yeah, it was, So yeah, that's its biggest fault is that there are no characters on that show. There are no characters because they just wanted to appeal to a large audience, and it's kind of insulting, really. But yeah, the Real Ghostbusters, which I love the fact that they actually call themselves the Real Ghostbusters because I don't know if anyone remembers, but there was a TV show before the Real Ghostbusters, another cartoon, just called Ghostbusters. Which starred some blonde guy, some fat guy, and a gorilla in a hat. And I was watching a couple episodes on YouTube today before we start recording. It's so fucking stupid. It's just the dumbest thing out there. It's like there's some robotic ghost that controls all the other ghosts, and he sends them to get the Ghostbusters. And like they have a friend who lives in the future and lets them do time travel adventures. The show makes... I kept trying to figure out what went into that show. Like, did they go, okay, we got the rights to Ghostbusters, but just the name. Literally nothing else. It's a terrible show, but the Real Ghostbusters cartoon, they had a great Halloween episode. And I remember when I was a kid, their Boogeyman episode scared the hell out of me. because that one freaked me out so much because there was an episode where these little kids are scared that the boogeyman is in their closet, so they go to the Ghostbusters with their piggy bank and say, "Please come and save us from the boogeyman." They're like, "All right, we'll go and we'll do this," and just like they clearly don't believe him, but it's like, "All right, we'll go tuck you back into bed at your house." They go back to their house and go, "All right, we'll sit here until you go to bed," and then the actual boogeyman lives in their closet. And then I remember the part that, like, and yeah, I was a little kid watching this. I was like, "Holy crap, the boogeyman's real!" But don't worry, the Ghostbusters are here. They'll save the day. And then Egon starts reading it and goes, "This isn't a ghost. This is something we've never seen before. This is just some weird, creepy, extra-dimensional creature. We can't stop it." And so as a kid, I went, wait a minute, the boogeyman is real, and the Ghostbusters can't stop him.
We're fucked.
Oh,
Yeah.
We're all fucked.
I threw the TV out the window like in Poltergeist and then just barred up my closet door. But yeah, that was such a good episode. But yeah, I would love. But yeah, going back to the Extreme Ghostbusters, I would love for someone to. Oh God, I was talking about how that was done so much just for like focus groups. It didn't hit me until right now when I said that their name was the Extreme Ghostbusters, and it came out in the 90s. That should tell you this was nothing more than execs going, "All right, how big of an audience can we hit, and what and how?" Yeah, I would love to see somebody come back. I would love to see somebody try and do that again. But, yeah, it's, you can't do it that way. It's, you know what? Bring back the exact same characters if you want. Bring back the girl and the other three guys. Bring them all back and just have somebody go, "You know what personality should we give them? Let's actually write backstories to these characters before we put them in here." So, but, yeah, other good TV shows. Twilight Zone. Mm-hmm. Twilight Zone is a great show to marathon. Because I know Sci-Fi Channel reruns it every single year. Mike, have you ever seen Twilight Zone?
The original?
Yeah.
Twilight Zone? Maybe an episode here and there, not a whole lot.
That's one of those ones in which, like, once you've seen a certain number of episodes, like, once you've seen, like, the good episodes, because there are some episodes from back then.
Yeah, it's...
There are so many episodes from back then, actually, that were all, like, fear robots and don't judge other people. Which, I kind of like that, because, I really, not the hate robots part, but, I love that, Rod Sterling, the guy who created the Twilight Zone, this is a guy who went to World War II, fought overseas, encountered people, and then he came back and went, "There's no reason for us to be fighting anybody. I'm going to make a science fiction show and base half of all the episodes to explaining why we should not hate other people." I was like, that was such a cool thing, but yeah, that series had so many good episodes. Like, I'm trying to think of some of my favorite, like the one with, the guy who, Burgess Meredith. Burgess Meredith was in like 6 episodes of The Twilight Zone. But there's one where he was playing a banker who just wanted to read, just wanted some time alone to read, and then there's an atomic bomb when he destroys everybody, but he survives because he was in the bank vault. Comes out, thinks about killing himself, actually puts like the gun in his mouth on TV in the 50s, which shows you how courageous this show was. Then he goes to a library, finds all these books, says, "Now I can finally read them all, I finally have all the time to myself," and then his glasses fall and break. That is like a Greek tragedy to me. How well they set that up. I always love the "To Serve Man" episode, where these friendly aliens come from outer space and say, "We're going to give you the cure for everything. Here's the cure for all your diseases. Here's how to raise crops to feed all your people. We just want a couple of you to come back with us." And they have guidebooks that say "To Serve Man," and everybody's like, "Oh, well, clearly that means that they're here, that they're good." But one of these translator for the government finds a copy of it and he says, "Okay, well, I'm going to get to work trying to figure this out." And then the protagonist of the episode is about to go off into space with them, and he gets on the little conveyor belt to go up into the spaceship. And as he's going in the spaceship, the translator runs up to him and is screaming that he can't reach him any time. And the last words he yells out are, "To serve man, it's a cookbook." And it's I mean, it sounds like a joke almost, but it's creepy when they do stuff like that. But yeah, I could go on and on about my favorite thing from I'll just throw this last one out there. I actually have one of the seasons of Twilight Zone on DVD, and Don Rickles was on one of the episodes with Burgess Meredith, and it was an episode where Burgess Meredith is a wimp who gets picked on, like he was in every episode of The Twilight Zone. But then aliens from Venus decide to give him superpowers, so he becomes incredibly strong, and he becomes the strongest man in the world. And they want Don Rickles to do an audio commentary on that episode. Don Rickles is not the kind of guy who will do an audio commentary. So instead, if you click audio commentary for that episode, it doesn't show the episode. It shows like 5 minutes of the episode all cut together, and it's just Don Rickles going, "All right, I'm just gonna talk here during the episode. I'm gonna have fun with it." And it's like, and then it cuts to another scene. These Venusian, what are they, from Venus? Oh god, it's so stupid. I can't believe this actually aired on TV. And then at the end, it's, oh look, the Martians. The Martians have come to save Burgess Meredith. Hooray for Burgess Meredith. Oh good. It's one of my favorite extras on any DVD I've ever seen. But yeah, what about any other movies that you guys didn't get to talk about? Any like paranormal films? Anything?
I mean, I remember. I mean, it wasn't a movie, but I remember really liking that TV show. Are You Afraid of the Dark? Growing up.
Oh god,
Yeah.
yeah.
On Saturday nights on Nick at Night.
Yes.
Yeah, it was supposed to be on Nickelodeon, and then they just went, "This is too scary for kids," and they put it on Nick at Night.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that
it was
was
like
always...
on a Snick. That was like
Oh.
the transition from Nickelodeon to Nick at Night.
Oh
Yes,
man,
you're
I
right.
would never have remembered Snick in the rest of my life after that.
that was good.
That was good. That made me afraid of clowns.
Oh yeah. Well, they had that creepy clown in the beginning.
And
sequence.
yeah, exactly. That's what did it. That creepy clown in the opening sequence scared the crap out of me. Poltergeist had nothing on that clown.
Oh jeez. What?
But yeah, I'll throw out. This is probably the weirdest horror film I've ever seen. Not weird as in just crazy, but as in like the most obscure. Because my name on the site is Obscure Fan, so I should probably live up to that. X, the man with X-ray eyes. I just caught that one on like TMC one evening. It's a doctor who performs an experiment on himself to give himself enhanced vision, but gives him X-ray vision by accident. And slowly, and he becomes like a star, and then he becomes like the hero of town because he can save people just by looking at him. But then it starts to get worse and worse until he can't not see X-ray vision, and it slowly starts to degrade, and he has to go and he has to run for his life to escape from people that won't experiment on him. And he goes to Vegas and he's just cheating on every machine there to make a fortune. And the movie ends it's more of just a science fiction film, but it becomes a horror film in the last 10 minutes. Because in the last 10 minutes, his X-ray vision gets so bad that he can now see into space. He can't walk because he sees planets in front of him.
He can see into forever.
Exactly, he
What?
can. The movie ends with him, looking. His vision becomes so good, he sees to the center of the universe, and he says, "There's something there. It's looking back at me," and he just reaches and grabs his eyes and rips them out. It is, the last shot of that film is one of the scariest shots of any movie I've ever seen. Yeah, that's some H.P. Lovecraft stuff right there.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of that, Guillermo del Toro tried to turn Mountains of Madness into a film, and that's been canceled at this point. But is there any horror book, horror story that you guys, or even just a monster that has not been turned into a movie that you guys would like to see but have never actually seen? Because I don't know if I'm behind the idea of Lovecraft being turned into a movie. Because all of Lovecraft's monsters were things so crazy that if you saw them, you went insane. Which means one of two things: one, you can't make that. And two, if you can, you probably shouldn't film it. But
Yeah, I think that's how you would have to do it. Kind of maybe the Paranormal Activity movies, where the creature's there, the demon's there, but you never actually see it, so it's just up to your imagination.
Like Cloverfield, almost? Or?
Yeah,
Almost,
kind of like
you just see parts
Cloverfield.
of it.
Yeah. I mean,
God, how good is Cloverfield, by the way?
Yeah. Yeah, but I think if you do it where maybe you give little glimpses or just use kind of grunts or, scary animal noises or something like that.
Yeah, if instead of seeing Cthulhu, you just see people running and then, you just see a big green mass kind of form down and you just see tentacles and you look up and there's just one big eye staring at you. Maybe, just see slivers of it. Not even all of it, but yeah, just little bits of it. But yeah, I could see it working that way.
Yeah.
As far as like monsters, I've always wanted to see in a movie, but never actually been done. I really want to see a good Jersey Devil movie made. Because I was never like really that interested in the Jersey Devil until I read a statistic which said that more people have actually reported seeing the Jersey Devil than have reported seeing Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster combined. And I went, well, how come those two are getting all the fame then?
So you'll have to explain. I'm sorry. What is exactly the Jersey Devil?
The Jersey Devil, it's a legend that goes back to like pioneer days, back to like Pilgrim days, and which basically was a woman gave birth to. There's different versions of like the origin to it because the origin is basically just kind of been come up with as time goes along. But the origin is basically that this is back during the time of the witch
trials, yeah.
And basically a woman accused of being a witch had a child which looked like a goat, and they tried to drown it, and so they took it, drowned it in the river, and it died and just floated along, and the town said goodbye to it. But over the years, people throughout the Jersey wilderness have reported sightings. Over the past 100 years, people have reported sightings of a two-legged goat creature walking through the woods of the Jersey woods. And so I've always said, you know what, I want to see a movie about that. I do.
It's like the Jersey Shore, and then suddenly the Jersey Devil shows up.
So this guy with devil horns came up to me, and I was like, "No, you ain't getting none of this." And then all of a sudden, just a hoof claw comes in through the confessional booth and grabs Snooki's head and rips it off. Great. Give that movie the Oscar now. Everybody says that was like the best thing about the Three Stooges movie is that Moe beats the shit out of the Jersey Shore people. So, but yeah, I would love to see a Jersey Shore movie. Oh God, sorry.
No, not a Jersey Shore movie.
Take it back now.
Unless the Jersey Devil is in it.
This guy telling us to do the drunken Grant Morrison Justice League also says that we should do a Jersey Shore movie. I like this kid. Let's do his ideas. No, wrong ideas. No. Also, this is gonna sound like a joke. I want to see a Chupacabra movie.
Oh, why not?
I kind of do.
think there's one. Well, I think there's one.
There's
I think
one
it
on
was
the
a
Sci-Fi Channel, I know.
Right.
Yeah.
I think like Chupacabra is like known as the goat eater, and like the Jersey Devil is like a goat man.
I didn't even put that together.
So maybe you can have like Chupacabra versus the Jersey Devil, and that would.
From the makers of Frankenstein versus the Wolfman, come Chupacabra versus the Jersey Devil.
And now Sci-Fi will make this an original movie.
Oh God! Yeah, seriously. There is some guy at Sci-Fi Channel right now, like typing this down, like license, true print, money.
No, that would require too much creativity. Their shtick is let's combine two scary animals into some giant monster and
Shark Moose coming this summer.
Ooh.
It's like I'd like to see some monsters from like mythology, like maybe like Japanese myths or like
Japanese had creepy ass monsters.
Yes, I know. They
Japan's been fucked up for a long time.
Or like some monsters from like Celtic mythology or something like that, or it's like some sort of like something like from a myth that like you never see in movies before, because like everyone like knows about like the seven deadly sins from like Christian Christian religion and all that. So I was like, why don't we try something different? Why don't we try like a different religion or a different mythology? I think that'd be really cool because there's a lot of interesting and creepy and weird shit out there.
There's like books and books of Japanese monsters, and I mean like they're the thickest books on monsters I've ever seen.
The problem with this is Joss Whedon already screwed this up for everybody. Here's a question. I brought this up a little bit on a previous episode, on the Doctor Who episode. What do you guys feel about the idea of making a Slender Man movie?
I don't know. It's like
it seems kind of Blair Witch-esque.
A little bit, yeah. But also, it's like that idea that one of the reasons Slender Man is so scary is because you know nothing about him. He's just that guy in the far background of the pictures. if you made a Slender Man movie, you'd have to like actually start explaining stuff about it.
It's like, what if like the Slender Man movie was just like these kids who found out about the Slender Man meme online, and they go out and see if it's real, and then one by one they get like picked off or something. And I think that's.
I think
like,
that could be a great short. Like like I know Marble Hornets already did a series of Slender Man shorts, but like to make like a 20-minute long movie about these kids and like one by one they just disappear. Like I don't know. I could see a Slender Man movie working in the right circumstances, but have to be done right.
It's just the thing is like so much can go wrong that I don't know if we should like even risk turning it into a movie. It's like we should just like leave it as it is.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. All right, well, let's get into like existing monsters because we did want to talk about that. Does anyone have a favorite monster from film or television?
I like werewolves.
You like werewolves?
Yes.
I've always had a soft spot for werewolves myself. Trying to think, I may have to go with Cloverfield. Like, we just brought that up, but, I mean, that's easily my favorite giant monster. But it was just that idea of, you don't know anything about it, you slowly build in your mind, and, that to me is, I kind of had problems with the monster in Super 8, because they just hit it till the very end, and it's like, dude, you've been hiding this for 2 years. Like, the teaser trailer for this came out 2 years. That was my time of not knowing what this looks like. But with Cloverfield, they slowly, they showed you the arm, and they showed you part of the face. They showed you the chest. So slowly, you formed it in your mind.
You start putting the puzzle pieces together.
Yeah, so I really dug that about it. What about you, Mike?
Man. I mean, not necessarily vampires, but, just the various versions of Dracula that have been out there have always been kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have, a favorite of them? Or?
Nosferatu, I think, is pretty good. I also think Gary Oldman's Dracula, that Francis Ford Coppola did back in the night, that was pretty decent one. Nothing that comes to mind really recently.
Vampires have not been on the hottest of streaks lately.
No.
Well, that depends on who you talk to.
Yeah, we're just gonna ignore Twilight. But it's not necessarily a great movie, but I kind of always liked the creature from The Relic.
The Relic. Oh,
It was from the mid to late 90s. It had Tom Sizemore in it and Penelope Ann Miller. It was based on that, those two guys.
I know that I've seen
Douglas Preston and, I forget, Lee Childs or something like that.
I know that I've seen this, but I'm so just drawing a blank. I cannot remember it for the life of me. But I've seen it. I keep trying to think of it, but I keep picturing The Descent in my head instead. Which I know is a totally different film.
Right. But, it was kind of like the guy, I forget, it was a botanist or something, was on some expedition in the Amazon or something, and, he, met this tribe, that no one knew about, and basically he kind of mutated, with a bunch of different animals, like part beetle, part, so it kind of just looked like this massive, nasty-looking thing. It had giant mandibles that like to decapitate people or cut them in half. So that was always neat, and that was kind of the same thing. You kind of started seeing just little bits of the creature. Like you'd start seeing just like a paw or a glimpse of just the the tusks from the face, and then eventually when you see the whole thing. And that was when they were still. I mean, it was part CGI, but also part practical effects. Because I think that was one of Stan Winston's creatures. That was a pretty interesting one that stood out. The movie itself, not too great, but I thought the creature was pretty interesting.
Speaking of just the creature, that's one that I've always enjoyed. The creature from the Black Lagoon. That's one that I'm shocked. Out of all those old Universal monsters, it's still famous, but it's only been in 4 movies, and it was in its original one, it was in Return to the Black Lagoon, and then it was in Monster Squad. Actually, that was it. Oh no, I remember what the 4th one was. It was in Creature of the Black Lagoon, Return to the Black Lagoon, Abbott and Costello meet the creature from the Black Lagoon, and then Monster Squad.
Huh.
Which, by the way, am I the only person who kind of wants to see, like, some comedy duo try and recapture that? Like, Harold and Kumar meet Freddy and Jason, or...
That'd be interesting.
I don't know, maybe I am the only person who wants that, but...
Yeah.
Like a horror comedy, like, yeah, it's like, we need more of those. And more good ones, I mean, not like the Scary Movie kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on the Scary Movie franchise? Because I haven't liked a single one of them.
So I thought it was a clever, like the first one, it was like a clever idea making fun of the tropes, but after a while, it was kind of like beating a dead horse or something. It's like, it's not even really that funny. It's just more like pop culture references. Like, I get it, but it's not funny. It's
yeah, because they don't do jokes. They just say, "Hey, there's that thing you know."
Yeah. I haven't seen any of them, so I can't.
We've been mentioning a lot of monsters that come from, like, supernatural causes or supernatural backgrounds. Is there any, like, science monsters that you guys like? I'm going to throw out there The Fly.
Oh, that was the first thing I was going to say. Alright. How could you not, like, think of that when you think of, like, science-created monsters, like, other than Frankenstein?
Yeah, those are the two best ones, I'd say. The original Fly is scary as hell because it's got that final shot of the help me. Mm-hmm. Oh, man. I'm afraid of spiders, and that's the creepiest thing I've ever seen when it comes to spiders on cinema. But then the Jeff Goldblum 1980s Fly.
That's just as disturbing.
That is, yeah. Oh, man. Oh, God, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name, but who directed that one? Cosmopolis. Crazy guy.
Don't know. Sorry.
To the internet.
Yeah, normally I would not stop to do this, but man, it's gonna bug the crap out of me. David Cronenberg.
You said bug, and we're talking about The Fly.
Nah. But yeah, David Cronenberg. That one, that drips of David Cronenberg in that film. But yeah, that movie, I just remember there at the end when he transforms fully into the Fly, and he just grabs the gun and points it at his own head. Oh man, that is
like, and the practical effects are amazing.
Oh, they're amazing in that movie.
It's like, this was made when, and they were able to pull that off.
I say this every time it comes up. Practical effects, homie. That is the answer to almost everything. Granted, I don't want to see Lord of the Rings done with a ton of practical effects, but if you're just doing a monster film, practical effects work so much more than they don't. Although there isn't one that I can think of, and it applies to science-created monsters as well, that I really enjoyed, Splice. And that wasn't practical effects. That was special effects, and it actually, they worked.
I didn't see Splice. How was it?
It's good, although I don't know how I feel about Adrian Brody having sex with the 6-week-old monster.
Yeah, that's...
It's a weird...
It's like, I don't really consider it more... I honestly don't think of it as a horror movie, but like someone's like darkest fetishes, like made reality, because...
Oh, you mean so like the writer just brought that script and they went, wow, this is going to be a great horror film. Right. Horror film.
Great.
That's what I was going for. But, let's see. Any other type of monsters that we haven't really talked about? Because we talked about, like, the paranormal kind of monster. Then we talked about, like, the science-created ones.
What other kind of monsters
There's the giant monsters, which I brought up Cloverfield. But, we can't not talk about, like, Godzilla, King Kong, all of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody have a favorite Godzilla-style monster? Because when you look back at the history of Godzilla, he fought 1,000 different giant things. I always was a fan of King Ghidorah myself, the 3-headed golden dragon from space.
I like Mothra, but I think moths are cool, so that's kind of why.
Yeah. I remember when I was a kid, my parents and I didn't really share anything in common, except that they loved the hell out of the Godzilla films. And I never got to see any of them because, they didn't make any when I was a kid, except for that awful Matthew Broderick one. I just picked their brains about that stuff at all times. And, like, they were fans of, like, Rodan, Mothra, all of those ones.
Have you seen Godzilla 2000?
Wait, was that the one where Godzilla fights the American Godzilla?
Maybe it was.
Oh,
it wasn't.
No, that wasn't it. That was Godzilla Destroy All Monsters. Yeah, the Godzilla 2000, which was Japan attempting to reboot Godzilla.
Right. That one was pretty. I don't know.
People have told me that was pretty good.
Yeah, the ending's pretty hilarious. Hilariously kind of bad, but you'll have to see it.
Right.
It's yeah, Mother Monsters though. I mean, I guess do we even go to Jurassic Park? I mean, I know it's not really horror.
You know what? That is horror. Yeah, you have a little the scene with the raptors in the kitchen.
Yeah, it's it was like you brought up like paranormal monsters and like science-made monsters. Like I was about to ask if like prehistoric or primitive monsters would count too.
I think they count.
Yeah, so like if there was like a giant beast like trapped in an iceberg and they thawed it out and like came back to life and started like killing people, you think that would make like an interesting movie or like?
It sounds to me like it has to have been like the plot of like at least one of those guys.
I know, but it's because it's like it's like so obvious, but like still, it's like.
Oh god, Sci-Fi Channel actually made a woolly mammoth movie. Now that I think about it,
of course, Sci-Fi Channel did it. All right, never mind then.
Lake Placid.
I love Lake Placid. That's one of those movies that I went in going, this is gonna suck, and then I walked out going, holy crap, that was actually good.
Yeah. God, I feel like there's another one that was kind of like a backwoodsy with a monster.
Anaconda?
I hold a soft spot for Anaconda in my head, because I watched that when I was a kid, and I liked it, but, yeah, like, I know if I went back and watched it now, I'd hate it, but yeah, Anaconda's a good example. Yeah, that's a good question. Like, we were thinking, like, just, big monsters, but just any big-sized normal creature. So, like
a normal-sized creature that's been, like, like, jacked up on steroids.
Because they've done that
super ultra beasts.
Because, yeah, they've done that with everything. They did that with ants and It. They did that with, spiders. Spiders they've done it a couple of times. They did it with rabbits once. They did it with rabbits.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of that one, but yeah, there was a horror film starring giant rabbits. You know what? Speaking of It, John Carpenter's The Thing.
Right.
That is a great horror film, and once again, practical effects. That film would not have worked as well with special effects, and we know that because they tried with the prequel. Which the prequel is not as bad as everybody thinks it is, but it's still not that good of a movie. Yeah, tell you what, let's go through like the various tropes. Let's start wrapping up with like the various tropes of monsters, and we'll just talk about like some of our favorites with them. Like, because last time we talked about our favorite, like the tropes of kind of monsters and such, but like as far as the best films with them. Just like the monsters themselves. Like, does anybody have like a favorite ghost or we talked about favorite vampire already. As far as ghosts, this might be diminished after I see Paranormal Activity 4. I'm digging Toby the Demon.
Yes, especially once you see 3, you will dig him even more.
I can't wait to watch it tonight.
I mean, I don't want to build it up too much, but for me personally, after seeing that, Toby, yes, way scarier. Yeah.
Dude, you're talking to one of the few guys out there who is actually willing to admit, yeah, I'm totally into the paranormal films. Because so many other people who even like the Paranormal Activity movies are like, they're okay. I'm like fully willing to flat out admit, no, I really like the first one. And the second one I like. They screwed up some of the pacing a little bit, in my opinion, but I still really enjoy it. So yeah, if I'm willing to admit those, trust me, I'm gonna enjoy this one from what you're telling me. Yeah. So Toby the Demon, I'd say, is probably the best ghost out there. Then again, there aren't that many famous ghosts unless you want to go with
that's the sad thing. We don't have really that many good ghost horror. I mean, we'll say good ghost horror movies because I mean there was that 13 Ghosts and what was it, House on Haunted Hill?
House on Haunted Hill. Jeez. Did you ever see the original 13 Ghost?
No, I don't.
I don't even think they were trying to make that a horror film because I mean it's like the kid would be like hanging out with the ghost and just like, what were you doing down there, Timmy? I was playing with the ghost. Well, that's nice. And it's like, no, bitch, there are ghosts in the house. You should be running. There's
Right.
13 of them to be exact. Let's see. Zombies. Anybody have like a favorite zombie? I always dug the look of the tar zombie from Return of the Living Dead. Then there's the zombie that fought the shark in Zombie 2. Yeah, zombies aren't one of those creatures that really like stands out, but I mean there are a couple of films that have like memorable ones. Like I was not the biggest fan of Land of the Dead, but I really dig the was it Terry Crews in that film as the big main zombie?
I didn't see that one.
It's not that great of a film, but I dug the main zombie in it.
Yeah. Yeah, that one I don't know. Yeah, zombie.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard because they're always kind of in a horde.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Zombies are not individuals. Yeah, zombie by itself is not that big of a threat.
So best zombie horde. Yeah.
Oh no, Eugene Clark. That was it. Eugene Clark was the main one. But yeah, let's see.
Best werewolf.
Best werewolf. Oh shit.
And you've got
I
Benicio
talked
del
about-
Toro.
What was that?
You got Benicio del Toro's werewolf.
Yeah.
Or Wolfman, I guess.
I like the special effects on that, but it's just an okay movie. I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't seen all of it. I've only seen the second half. But I mean, you know what? My favorite werewolf, Steve Buscemi from Hotel Transylvania.
Okay.
He's the best thing in that movie.
Oh, and it's not that good.
Oh no, it actually is. Like if you're a fan of cartoons, it is good. But I mean, it's like we both give it like a B+ because it's just kind of it's not a meal, but it's like a piece of cake. But it's a good piece of cake. So, I mean, like if you're a fan of cartoons, like if you love Dexter's Lab and all the other cartoons that Genndy Tartakovsky did.
Yeah.
I totally recommend it. And also, Adam Sandler is actually fairly decent in it. Like, you watch that, and it reminds you, oh, right, Adam Sandler is a guy who spent the first 10 years of his career just doing voices. So
I didn't even know he was in that.
Yeah, he's Dracula.
Don't let that
okay.
ruin it for you.
I was going to say, but okay. I'll take your word for
If it comes on Netflix Instant Queue, then yeah, check it out. Because I found it enjoyable. But, let's see, favorite... Oh, I got one. Favorite alien.
Alien?
Well,
the Xenomorph is up there.
Xenomorph is there.
I like Predator, too.
Oh, yeah, Predator.
As long as those two don't start fighting each other. You know what?
The aliens from Men in Black?
Oh,
yeah.
They were good. They were good aliens in that. I really love the design of that first alien that you see in that first movie. It kind of pissed me off. They killed him right away. But you know what? The Blob. That came from outer space, too.
Oh, yeah.
And that creeped the hell out of me when I was a kid. This thing that just can't be stopped, and it just keeps growing. Like, I will kid you not, when I was a kid and I first found out about the Blob, I actually started, like, forming plans in case the Blob was real. Like, what would I do to survive the Blob? And, like, I was like, okay, lock myself in a giant refrigerator. Not realizing I'd die that way eventually. But yeah, I was like, okay, he's afraid of the cold. Let's see. How about, I got one. Just favorite, X. Favorite thing that is undefined. It's not paranormal, it's not science, it has, like, no backstory to it. I would go with, and this is going to be a weird one throughout, I would go with the Creeper from Jeepers Creepers.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of those movies, but I like the idea behind it. Like, I would love to see someone do that thing right. In fact, I kind of even enjoy the second one a little bit, because the second one is just, it is just, hey, we're just going to show you what the Creeper looks like when he's killing kids on a bus for an hour and a half. And I was like, you know what, this movie's stupid, but I like the Creeper. Also, I don't know if they ever explained it, but Pumpkinhead, have you guys ever seen that film?
I want to see that so badly.
Because
I don't know.
That thing looks cool to me.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's supernatural, but I don't think they ever actually explain it. But yeah, the Pumpkinhead monster just looks cool.
Yeah.
It's like the backwoods xenomorph almost. It's got weird, almost curved head, but then like the big sharp teeth. I love it. Let's see. Frankenstein, there's only one. Mummy, never really been more than one, aside from like the Brendan Fraser movies.
Yeah,
there isn't really, it's kind of hard to divide it up into categories, I guess, other than like, I guess you do have to just kind of divide in those categories of paranormal, science-related, alien, giant, But yeah, any other films you guys want to throw out? Any other films? Any other monsters? Anything supernatural that you guys enjoy that you want to throw out before we close up shop here?
I feel like I'm gonna remember something.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly what happened to me after the last podcast. I just went, God.
Wait, like, what about, psychological monsters?
Oh, you know what? I can't believe it. We have not even talked about A, psychological monsters, or B, just like psycho killer things.
Yeah, just crazy people.
Yeah, just crazy
who just
people.
Want to kill everybody.
That's the other category we did not talk about. Yeah,
Yeah, we were so caught up in, like, non-human monsters that we'd forgotten that humans can be monsters, and some of them are the scariest kinds of monsters.
Yeah, excellent point. Yeah, what would be your favorite of just like any of those killer things? Like, Jason, Freddy, Michael Myers, any of those guys?
Yeah, I mean, Michael Myers is interesting. I've only seen the first Friday the 13th film, so, I mean,
Jason wasn't even in that.
No, it wasn't even Jason, but, yeah, that one just kind of bored me, honestly.
Honestly, same thing happened to me. I was bored by that first one.
I haven't seen any of the Nightmare on Elm Street.
I remember that I saw Jason X, and that was one of the only few other Jason films I watched, and man, fuck Jason X. I really... Like, that one, that was one of the first times that I ever spent money knowing a movie was going to be bad. Like, I went, you know what, I've had a hard week at school, I'm tired, I just want to go and see a space monster killer guy slashing up people in space. And I went, this is the dumbest fucking thing I have ever seen. There's only one moment in that entire film that's actually enjoyable. It's when, to try and trap Jason, they put him in a virtual reality chamber. And he goes in there, and the virtual reality chamber turns to Camp Crystal Lake. And there's two girls in bikinis there going, hey, Jason, want to come party with us in our sleeping bags? And then it cuts to the kids as they're trying to figure out what to do with Jason. And then it comes back to Jason. Jason is holding one of the girls in the sleeping bag, beating the other girl in the sleeping bag, and you just hear the girls going, ouch, 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 ouch. That was the only good part of that whole movie.
Wow.
Anybody a fan of the Saw films?
I liked the first one. It was, again, something new, fresh for the horror genre. The second one was okay. After the third one, I was like, okay, now this is just like, how many ways can we just show people being tortured?
Yeah. Kind of, that's how the Final Destination movies went with me. Mm-hmm. It's except that with that one, I thought the second one was actually way better than the first one.
So I saw the first Final Destination movie, and like the next day I had to like take a plane. So I was
why?
Like,
what the? That is a terrible plane.
I wasn't thinking through.
What else?
Have
you seen the right? Have you seen any of the Hostel movies?
I have not. No.
Yeah, I watched the first two because I think there's only three, and yeah, it was. Again, it's something interesting, but really more just like, how gross can we get? And I can handle that stuff to a degree, but especially like the second one was just basically like, torture porn, like, because it was just all women being, horribly mutilated, and, yeah, it was just kind of nasty.
It's like we kind of talked about before, like jokingly with what was it, the Splice movie? It's like, that you kind of get the feeling watching some of these movies that they're not trying to create horror; they're just trying to please themselves with it. That's and I'm partially ashamed to say this, but I have seen both Human Centipede movies. I was just about to ask about that.
So, oh, Jesus. And the first one was bad enough. I mean, at the very least, you had some decency, I guess we'll say, just because you had
turn into a story.
Well, and not even so much the story, but the actual process of the crazy fucked up doctor trying to create the human centipede. He's very meticulous. He tries to make things work. So it's still fucked up and nasty, but at the very least, okay, I can sort of stomach this. Two, it's just you have a guy who's just completely fucking insane, and he just, wants it for his sick pleasure, and it's way worse. And black and white did not help.
It's all in black and white?
Yeah, the second one is all in black and white. And thank God, because there are just some scenes there when he's creating the human centipede, and he's like, okay, and he wants people to see how the, oh God, I don't know if I want to get into this or not. Just...
Should we censor this part out during the editing?
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, have you seen either of them?
I have not. I know, Michelle, you tried to watch the first one.
Yeah.
But they took it off of YouTube before you could finish it.
Okay, so... how basically, like, the whole part is, the first one, he, the ass mouth, the one long intestine through the whole, every, 3. So, in the second one, it's just this, crazy fucked up guy working in a London parking garage who, he has, a scrapbook of everything from the human centipede, and he watches it on repeat at his job. And so when he wants to create his human centipede, he just uses whatever tools he can. So he's using, a hammer to knock people's teeth out. And, granted, they're not even passed out, or he doesn't drug them, or give them any sedative. He just kind of, I'm going to tie you up, and then I'm just going to take a hammer and beat your teeth in. And it's, oh God, it's just so fucking disgusting.
I've never felt so bad for actors and actresses as from hearing about those human centipede movies.
Right, and it's the worst part is that so he creates his human centipede, and it's, by far way worse because he doesn't have the proper tools to be doing this. And so when he's trying to get people to, the main person to eat, so everybody else, it just... he has to give them, oh crap, what is it? I tried to block this from my memory sometimes.
If this guy is working in a parking garage, how does he have the cash to make this happen? It's because I can't imagine it'd be that expensive from what you're describing.
No, it's not. He's just basically using tools, like household tools. Like he's using, a box cutter to cut people's, faces and stuff. And yeah, he rents out this abandoned warehouse, for apparently on the cheap, because no one needs it for whatever reason. But yeah, just with the God, yeah, it's just disgusting. It's nasty. We'll yeah. Don't watch it.
I remember when the first one came out, I didn't see it, but everybody was going, no, man, it's trying to be clever. It's trying to be like a critique, and it's trying to be humorous. And I just went, I don't know, everything you're telling me just makes it sound like this director and writer is just really fucked up, and you guys are just kind of like thinking it's this way. And then they would all tell me, no, that's not what it is. Then Human Centipede 2 came out, and a lot of them came back to me and went, okay, yeah, maybe you were right. Maybe he is just that fucked up.
So yeah, Tom Six is one disturbed individual, and he's gonna have his final sequence. So God knows what that's gonna be.
Human Centipede coming.
Yes, so there's first sequence, and I forget what the middle one's called, whatever sequence, and then final sequence is going to come out.
Because there's 3 people sewn ass to mouth, so there's gonna be 3.
Well, at least in the first one, and the second one there's like 12. So
so like, what's gonna be in like the third one?
In the third one, he's just going to kill a guy on camera.
It's like the third one's going to be like 100 people sewn ass to mouth.
I think it's supposed to be something pretty. It's supposed to take place in America. That's from what I've heard. So yeah, we'll see how that one works. Maybe it'll be at a reality show or something.
Oh fuck! That sounds accurate.
People will do anything to be on a reality show.
Like seriously, the moment you said that, I just had that coffee cup dropping moment, and it's like, oh god, that is what they do, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. God knows. God. So I'll probably force myself to watch it. Just I don't know, because I'm.
Yeah, when it comes to like monsters in movies, that's my least favorite kind. Is just the crazy guy. Because yeah, don't get me wrong. They're frightening, especially in real life. I would not be brave at all. But when it comes to a movie and I'm watching it, it's like, it's just a guy with a knife. I could run from that. It's like, you gotta give me something that I can't run from to really freak me out.
I can understand that, but, it's like, I guess I kind of feel like the opposite, like, it's, there are crazy people, there are psychopaths out there who do these sick things, and you don't always know why, and that's, like, the really scary part, the fact that they do exist, not like this monster that came out of some laboratory that'll probably, like, never even be alive or anything, or it's like it's the chance of, like, an experiment that happening like that is, like, slim to none, so...
Yeah, like I said, in real life, I would not have that attitude. In real life, I'd be... flailing arms around, running in circles. That's one of the things that I hate about seeing horror films with other people, is that at some point the other person always goes, if that was me, I would do this. It's like, shut the fuck up, no you would not. If that was me, I'd just turn around and I'd kick it in the mouth. It's like, that's a fucking werewolf. What life experience are you basing what you just said on? That lets you know how you would react in this situation.
Yeah, I don't know.
If that was me, you'd shit your pants and cry. That's what you would do if you were faced with this situation. And there's no shame in that. That's how any of us would react to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we seem to be running out of ideas to talk about. It seems like, I can guarantee we're all going to think of something as soon as we're done talking. But, has anybody got, like, any kind of a monster movie that you would want to see in the future? Like, any kind of, like, resurgence of a monster film, any director you want to see tackle a particular thing, any kind of, like, a project that you would love to see. What would be your ideal monster project that you would love to see in the future?
I would like to see either a proper Exorcist prequel that doesn't suck, or even I would even go for a reboot if they handled it properly, but I'd probably have little faith that either of those would happen.
Yeah. I would love to see, speaking of reboots, I would love to see the guys who made Wreck reboot the Resident Evil franchise. Because someone needs to remind, and I was talking about the Resident Evil movies, because someone needs to remind those guys, this is a horror video game, right? There's no slow motion women in, skin-tight wetsuits blasting stuff and flying. Honestly, if you've seen Wreck 2 to me proves that a Resident Evil movie can happen. Because Wreck 2, if that just took place in a mansion rather than an apartment complex, that would be Resident Evil. I always like to imagine in Wreck 2 that there is a deleted scene where they run into a room and there's just a guy with little blue candles next to him and a purple mask on who just goes, "Welcome." I need camera lens cleaner. What are you buying?
What are you selling?
What are you selling?
Yeah, what else? I mean, they've already rebooted Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. I think both those did pretty poorly.
Yeah, not very well. By the way, speaking of crazy people, I like the Texas Chainsaw Massacres. I like Leatherface. In the first movie. Not a fan really afterwards, but yeah, I've told this story on the podcast before, but I saw the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre in college during a film class, and I was walking out of the film class, and the sun was setting, and so the entire sky had this rich orange, yellowy, golden hue. And anybody who's seen the movie knows that the very final shot of the movie is Leatherface as the sun is coming up, and it's got that same yellowy, golden hue, just revving up his chainsaw, swinging it around. And I was walking down there going, I guess that movie was okay. I guess it was good. I don't really think it had much effect on me. And then as I'm walking through the parking lot with this golden sun out, someone revved up their motorcycle behind me, and I screamed like a little girl and just ran to my car.
That's pretty great.
Yeah, I swear to you, I wish that didn't happen, but it did. But yeah, I'd also really love to see, like I said earlier, I'd love to see the Creature from the Black Lagoon get a resurgence. I want to see someone try and retackle that. Yeah. Anything you can think of?
Well, I did like the original Halloween.
Oh, the original Halloween?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you'd like to see someone try and,
Well, the thing is, like,
Reboot
Rod
it?
Zombie already did try and do
Yeah.
a remake, and it's like, it took away everything. It's like, it
I think
gave Michael Myers a backstory. It's like, no, that was what made the first Halloween so scary. It's like, you just see this kid covered in blood, and you just never understand why he did what he did, and that's...
Also, I think Rob Zombie's directorial style is he grabs a bucket full of mud and throws it on everything. It's... Not everything has to be dirty, man. But yeah, I'd love to see someone salvage that. Try and polish the mud off of that Rob Zombie turd. But yeah, so... What horror movie do you guys think had the best soundtrack? Because when I was trying to pick out music to put into last week's episode, I was realizing there's a lot of good options out there.
I always did
I
like
mean,
the
you got-
Halloween theme, but it's
Yeah.
a classic.
It is. And
I really like the Exorcist theme.
I gotta come down on the Exorcist side on this one. I like the Halloween theme one too, but the Exorcist one, that one when I'm walking through an area, through like a neighborhood, and there's nobody else around, and it's in October, and you've got that crisp breeze going, and that slightly cool air, and you see all the leaves changing, and it's like just at dawn. It's just at dusk, and there's no one else around. That's always the music that starts playing in my head. That just hits me at all times. But yeah, all right, so cool. Exorcist and Halloween, yeah, probably both the best horror movie theme songs. All right, well, this turned into a good discussion. Man, I feel full after this. I feel like I have gotten everything out that I wanted to say about Halloween. I feel totally in the mood. I feel content about now.
That's awesome. Yay.
Yeah. Any final thoughts you guys want to
Yay.
get out?
Go see Paranormal Activity 3.
Yeah, I'm
No.
going to do it as soon as I get back from dinner tonight. But all right. Thank you, Mike, for being on again.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
No problem.
All right, this was a nice little cleanup crew that we had here. The party is all done now. All right, everybody, head on home.
All right.
Have a happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween!
Yes.
Oh fuck, I know I forgot something.
Something strange